It's the year 2000. The United Nations announces its ambitious Millennium Development Goals. Goal number 1 is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger worldwide, and as a first step, to halve the number of people who are living in dire need in 1990 by 2015. The UN defines extreme poverty as having less than $1.25 a day to live on. In 1990, 2 billion people fell below this extreme poverty line. Fast forward to 2008, and the aim of halving the numbers living in extreme poverty is reached, 7 years ahead of target. This is largely down to the improvements in one country, China. In 1990, 61% of Chinese people were living below the UN poverty line. By 2002, this had dropped to 30%. By 2015, just 4% of people in China were living in dire need. 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty worldwide, and 700 million of these people are in China. Nothing on this scale has ever been seen in human history, but until the end of 2015, that still left 55 million living in extreme poverty in China. That's like the population of a small country. So China has set herself a new target, to eradicate extreme poverty in the country altogether by 2020. After all, if you're so poor you can't afford to get enough to eat, educate your children or plan for the future, where are your basic human rights? So what's China's plan, and can other countries learn from it? First up, China identified where the extremely poor were concentrated in the country. The poorest are found mainly in remote rural areas and where ethnic minorities live. And extreme poverty is most common amongst women, children, minority groups and the elderly. Secondly, they identified precisely which families and individuals were the poorest in these poorer communities. China's plan is to focus efforts on these people. That way, progress can be carefully monitored, essential if the target is to be reached by 2020. Most of these poorest communities depend on agriculture, but in some places the land is too poor to provide a decent income. Ecological projects offer a win-win to these communities. Overgrazed pasture can be restored to flourishing grasslands. Poor farmland can return to biodiverse forests. This not only improves the environment for local people, it attracts visitors who want to experience the wild beauty of China's mountains, forests and desert. Tourism creates jobs and other opportunities for the community. Businesses can flourish even in these remote areas, but their isolation makes starting a business a big challenge. It's tough to reach your market or attract qualified workers. China's solution? Connect even the remotest communities to the national road network and prioritise extending high-speed internet across the country. Distance doesn't have to be a bar to entrepreneurship, nor does gender. Special loans for the poorest women give a jump start to those who want to start a business. Education is one important way out of poverty, so the poorest children in China now get free schooling up to the age of 16. In remote areas, new school dormitories and living expense grants enable children to stay in education longer. Special subsidies encourage the best teachers to come to these remote schools. Education doesn't need to stop. Adult migrant workers from these poorest areas can get financial help to enroll in vocational training that gives them the skills they need in the workplace. In some villages, it may just be impossible to ensure a secure, reasonable living. So 10 million people have been helped to move to places where they can get work. What China has learnt is that raising people out of poverty isn't a job that's done once and for all. A single piece of bad luck can send someone sliding back down again. Preventing this is a key strategy to reach China's 2020 target. There's now social insurance for people living in these poor rural areas, and medical insurance, so a bout of illness doesn't destroy fragile gains. Perhaps the most innovative idea is one that's particular to China. Pairing. Communities, organisations, companies and individuals from wealthier parts of the country pledge to walk side by side with these poverty-stricken communities to help them reach financial security. The richer community shares its experts, knowledge and relative wealth with their poorer country cousins. Together they work to achieve the goal of lifting everyone in all of China out of extreme poverty by 2020.